Yes, the safety car turns into a red flag. But interestingly, scarily, horrifyingly, as the red flag comes out, cars are still on track, have not yet made it back to the pit. And in fact, Pierre Gasly, who had pitted, was trying to catch up with the field to get to the back of the safety car line, passes a tractor that's just off the track, maybe a little bit on the track. It is really close to his racing line. I'll link a YouTube channel or a YouTube clip in the show notes so you can see just how close he is and his response on the radio. Like, what? Why is that tractor there?
Okay, confirmed. We have a few cars gonna pit. A few cars are gonna pit, we think, from where radio comes. Red flag.
God, what the? Yeah, what is this tractor? What is this tractor on track? I'll pass next to it, like, this is unacceptable. Wonder what's happened. Can't believe this.
Okay, come into the pit lane, please. Come into the pit lane.
It's not an official F1 clip, so who knows if the clip will still be there when you click on it. But anyway, he races really close to it and is justifiably angry that a tractor is that close to the track in such terrible conditions because it was this track in the rain where a tractor came out on track to recover another car that F1 driver Jules Bianchi lost control and crashed into the tractor, which caused a head injury and eventually cost him his life. So all the drivers are really tuned into Suzuka, rain, and tractors. And all of them justifiably extremely upset with this. Gasly, as it turns out, was speeding, not when he passed the tractor, but in other corners. That earned him a 20-second time penalty as a result of speeding under the red flag. But that doesn't change the fact that the tractor was there and extremely close to the racing line. And it did not stop other drivers from blasting the incident. Perez called it the lowest thing I've seen in years. Norris took to Twitter saying, WTF, how has this happened? We lost a life in this situation years ago. We risk our lives, especially in conditions like this. We want to race, but this is unacceptable. Pierre Gasly himself on Twitter said, glad to go home safe tonight. For the respect of Jules, all his family, and for our safety and that of the marshals, there should never be any tractor nor marshals on track in such conditions with such poor visibility, period. Carlos Sainz, in a quote from racefans.net, I don't know if people understand, but even behind the safety car, we're going at 100 or 150 kilometers per hour. And still at those speeds, we see nothing, even behind the safety car. So if one driver decides to get out of the racing line or has a small aquaplaning or has to change a switch on the steering wheel and goes a little bit out of line and hits the tractor, it's over. So to my knowledge, no procedure was broken here. The tractor is allowed to come out and recover a car under safety car conditions, but that doesn't change the fact that the conditions made it incredibly difficult to see and dangerous. Ricardo said he didn't even see the tractor until he saw the replay.
Yeah, he drove past it. Because a bunch of them drove past it while the tractor was driving down the back, wasn't the straight on 130R, I think it was. Somewhere in there. Fastest part of the track. Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of discourse immediately after this. There was a lot of, I think, vagueness because especially, I don't want to... It's hard to pundit on a live race, but Paul di Resta and Karun Chandhok were sort of making the argument that Gasly was somewhat to blame for this. These are two completely separate incidents. He did, like, the law of the land on red flags is that you can't speed on them, and safety car is another one, but the red flag incident is because there can't be marshals on the track and he doesn't know where they might be, and that's completely true. The truck thing is, like, insane. I was absolutely shocked. It took them maybe 25 minutes to show the truck on the international broadcast. So you had Jensen Button and Crofty talking about Gasly freaking out in the car park or in the garage. Car park, the most expensive car park in the world, in the garage, and they thought it was because of the advertising hoarding. Meanwhile, Twitter is circulating this video of him freaking out when a fucking, sorry, excuse my French, truck drives past him. And like when the race started, anyone who was watching that race in 2014 was thinking about that. Like, I watched that race live. I'm sure lots of people who are listening to this podcast watched the 2014 race live. The thing we need to remember is that Jules Bianchi crashed. Wasn't there double waved yellows in his sector? He did not crash under racing conditions. This isn't like, if you're new to F1, I can understand how, when we turn off the racing mode, everything's safe. That is not the case. Certainly not the case in the rain. Because in the rain, you're adding in tires get cold, there's aquaplaning, there's so many variables that can mess up with your car and can lead to, I don't know, a driver of the caliber of Carlos Sainz crashing on a straight. Like, he is one of the best drivers in the world. That crash did not happen because he was fighting with somebody or because he took a turn wrong. It happened because of track conditions. Those cars can lose control in any condition. And in 2014, a young driver lost control, and because of archaic rules they had, which back as far as 2000 and the 90s, Martin Brundle had been complaining about, that famous clip I had been complaining about, lots of people had said, why do we have tractors on? It makes no sense why you would have a recovery vehicle that is that like reinforced in the exact same place where somebody has just gone off the track. Isn't that like a higher percentage place that someone else might go off the track? And then the sort of course it happened moment was when Jules Bianchi had a repeated crash, and of course, instead of there being a barrier there, a runoff, there was a truck, and a year later in hospital, he ends up succumbing to his injuries. So the fact that it happened at all is insane. The fact that it happened in Suzuka in the rain is absolutely abhorrent. There has to be, like, we brought in the Jules Bianchi's halo has saved, I don't know, you could argue Lewis Hamilton in Monza. You could argue Romain Grosjean in the Sakir Grand Prix. Just to name two. I feel like there's been more over the years where we've seen the halo, effectively save somebody's life or help them avoid incredibly serious injury. To see a truck in that these conditions are worse. These are some of the worst racing conditions we've ever seen. The cars are traveling at speed, even when they're under yellow flag, red flag, whatever flag. They're going fast, and they could be going 0 miles an hour. And if a truck hits them, those guys are dead. So the idea that like his speed was contributing to it, his speed was academic at that stage. So I don't understand how there'll be anything else. I'm glad they just gave him the speeding fine for it. That's great. I don't understand how there can be any other thing than, look, it's not that important. If a red flag, like, what were they trying to get to him faster for? It's a red flag wet race. Like, we know we're not going to get back racing for like 40 minutes. You don't just turn the race back on when it happens because of like advertising hoarding's been busted into and it's raining. There's no rush. So why they were allowed to put the truck out that early when it's completely unnecessary? Just wait a minute. Wait till all the cars are past it.
Yeah, I mean, I cars catching up to the back of the safety car pack going fast is a thing. That's within the rules.
Yep.
Even if Gasly didn't, break any speed rules, he still would have been doing that to get back to the safety car before the red flag came out. And so by that time, if the tractor's coming out, I'm with you, Danny. I don't know how that happens. Like, what? Either we have some kind of stipulation in the rules that says if people are on wet or intermediate tires, then we have to red flag it and then send out a tractor, right? Or you virtual safety car everybody until you can decide whether you're going to throw a red flag or not. Like the virtual safety car came about because of Jules Bianchi.
Right. Yes, you're right. And it's not like there is clearly a procedural black hole here, because in this sport, if a driver has an engine problem, right? And they drive off to an escape road, and it would be almost impossible for another car to crash and then hit them, because they're not even parked in a place where they crashed. They just went over there. When that happens, yellow flags are waved. But when a truck is on the track, they don't tell anyone. Like, what? Like, they didn't tell anyone. It's not like the drivers got like a oh, by the way, watch out for the truck that's going to be driving towards you. Like, just, stay on one side of the road. I need to look back at the other footage, whether or not I'm wrong or not, but it looked like when they showed the other drivers that the truck was literally driving on the track. It's hard to tell its speed. I could be wrong. Maybe it was just parked there. In any case, like, could you imagine? like what are we talking about here? There's a truck on the track and you're not letting the drivers know, and a zero visibility. And it should be mentioned that in all those feeds that we are watching the camera pod on top, which has 4 or 5 times the visibility of the drivers have in the car at that stage. Pierre Gasly literally could not see out of his car when the advertising hoarding went in front of him because they're so low, and the amount of spray that they're having, they just don't have it. And like, even the truck's lights were on, and it looks like they're not on. It's so bad the rain is.
Right. Yeah.
So it's absolutely insane. I cannot, like, I'm ashamed of the sport over this. Like, this is so sickening. If you could you imagine being Jules Bianchi's parents watching this? Like, this is absolutely unacceptable, and there needs to be some sort of like procedural change that comes from
Imagine
this.
if something had happened. It's like the heads that would roll.
Yeah, I think this is nothing. I think something did happen. You know what I mean? Like it's not like they got away with it. I think this is, and seeing the reaction and Pierre Gasly doesn't deserve that. Pierre Gasly's gone through enough. Like Jules Bianchi was somebody that a lot of those French drivers were friendly with and look up to, and could easily have, was pegged for a Ferrari seat and was too young and lost his life and was part of that small community. Pierre Gasly already lost one of his friends, Antoine Hubert, in that crash in Spa. Like, those guys have had enough happen to them without this. Like, his response is completely acceptable. Like, understandable. Like, I felt bad for him. I was like, don't send him back out there. The poor guy's been like, he probably just needs to sit down for the rest of the day. But something needs to happen. It's not okay. That was not okay at all.
Yeah, the FIA has said that there will be an investigation. A thorough review of the incident.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Great. So I
guess that's all I can say for
we'll
now. They need to figure out what exactly happened. Yeah.